Good morning, everybody. Thanks for joining us this morning. One of these days this is probably our last program that we're still running on Zoom all the time. So I guess we can open up for discussion about going live again one of these days, but we do have great attendance. And this is probably one of those that Zoom fits pretty good. We don't necessarily all need to be in the same room. Kenny's a cornucopia of information. We look forward to hearing from him. And I won't take any more time. Thanks for being with us this morning, Kenny. How about an update?
Good morning, everybody. I hope everybody had a good weekend. Ray, it was good to see you this weekend at the Juneteenth celebration at Charter Angels Park, and I hope everybody, all the fathers, had a great Father's Day. It was a big weekend for the counties. Everybody knows with the races returning. My son lives right there by the track, so he was doing a bunch of transporting of people from his street over to the track because it was so full. So I don't know if anybody got a chance to watch those, but that was pretty cool having that back in Wilson County again. And Mark, if it's all right, what I'll do first, I'd like to see if anybody's got any questions, if there's anything in particular, before I get to rambling. Does anybody have any questions about anything in particular going on in Mount Juliet right now? For example, I see Stuart. Stuart, can you unmute? Stuart is muted. There you go.
How's that? Can you hear me now?
I can hear you now.
Is there a historical society in the city, a historic commission?
There's not a historic commission or a society, but we used to have an historian. It was Mr. Tate, and I don't know that we've replaced that since then, unless it is possibly Luke Winchester. But we don't have.
We're thinking of setting up a tax-exempt Mount Juliet Historic Commission to receive funds for saving or repairing historic sites or whatever historic project they want to do. And we have some people interested in that. And anyone on the board interested, let us know.
Gotcha. Absolutely. I mean, I'm sure something like that would be great. But yeah, we've always had an individual. And in recent years, I'm not sure if we've replaced Mr. Tate or not. But for some reason or other, I'm thinking Luke Winchester. But yeah, I'd be open to any assistance we can get in that. And thank you, Stuart. Anybody else? Any other questions? Mark, if it's okay, since we have the Dr. Wright on here, can I defer to her for just a minute so she can give an update about the school? I get a lot of questions about that. And what is it, Wayne's World? I am not worthy. Oh. I think that was it.
Oh.
Dr. Wright, it's good to see you.
Always, Kenny. It's always good to see you. If you've been traveling by the site, and particularly in the last week, we have started the demolition process, and Stoner Creek being the first. In fact, just in last recent days, it's down. Other than the part that we are retaining and thankfully being able to use as far as the Phyllis Robinson Gymnasium. Kudos to her. I mean, that will, always be a memorable part of that building. And then soon after that, you're going to see the demolition of West Wilson Middle School, which is going to be a little, I don't want to say more complex, but just because of when you look at the federal guidelines, particularly with asbestos abatement and all the precautions that you have to take with that. And I know that I have fielded many questions about that. And, and many of you that are of the age will know that during certain construction periods that, asbestos was part of the, building materials. And there is no other industry that is closely regulated and scrutinized than those that deal with asbestos abatement. And so that will be the process at West Wilson Middle School, particularly while we don't have children there. And then we retain that sixth grader, the 800 wing, which we are so thankful that we did not have the devastation that the rest of the building incurred with the tornado. And it will be prepared and ready. And really, it's pristine. I mean, it really did come through it well, just like the gymnasium did. And that's where we will house Stoner Creek K-5 while we wait for Bobcat Village to be completed there in front of the gymnasium. And I say that it's a contingency plan because we don't know what's going to happen with construction materials. If you're keeping up with that world right now, the company that's working with us out of Georgia, we're the highest priority, but like anything else, they can't control what's happening with building materials, because all this is going to be newly constructed temporary buildings for this. And again, it's going to be really quite nice. That'll be constructed there. But Kenny, other than that, that's where we're going. I mean, it's work that you can see. We're having to tell those that either want to, continue with advisement on how we need to do this, not to come on the properties right now. And we've still had to, some onlookers and those that want to pillage what they see that they might sell. Copper is going very high right now on the scrap metal market. And so we've had to contain that with some individuals that are just perusing the area. So we've had to run them off. So, but other than that, but we're in a better place than we were a year ago.
That's right. Now, Dr. Wright, thank you so much, because I know it's been tough. And when you're dealing with insurance companies, we've still got homeowners and even some business folks out there still continuing with insurance issues. So it's it's just one of those kind of things you got to go through, but it's going to be exciting when it's all done. And
Oh, yes.
appreciate you being such a good steward and the oversight that you've had with that. I know that's been tough. I'd like to challenge any other schools director to have 2 schools and then later on have another school hit by a tornado. So it's a pretty tough challenge. So thank you, Dr. Wright. But
thank everyone for their support and patience with this, because it has been tough, but thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. But what I'll do, if it's okay, Mark, I'll talk a little bit starting off with the budget. We got our budget passed, which I'm excited about. That is probably the best budget we've had in the history of the city. And the reason I say that is it's just got so much contained within it. For example, there's 9 new firefighters. The hope with that is once those firefighters in that new fire station, and I'd like to thank Dr. Wright on that as well, because we partnered up with a piece of property that's down at the Green Hill High School. Not only will it make that part of town safer, and of course with the high school being there, but it'll help us strategically, hopefully bring our ISO ratings down. And for those of you familiar with insurance, ISO ratings is what costs you on your insurance, and it makes getting the fire department, paramedics, EMPs, things of that nature quicker to your homes. Right now it's a 5, and of course I know the mayor and the elected body's working hard to try to get that number down. You can get that number a lot further down. It just makes everybody safer, and that's what they're focused on. 2 things that were priorities this year in the budget, of course, as always, was public safety. And when I think of public safety, when you think of adding 9 firefighters and 5 police officers, and one of those police officers will be a K9, because our elected body and our police department, and I support this emphatically, we've added another K9. So about to do it, we'll have 2 K9 dogs. And the reason for that is just like human beings, dogs go down and they get injured and things of that nature, and you need a backup. And there's just no replacement for having a K9. So very excited about that. We'll be bringing that on this year. So if you think about it right there, 5 police officers, 9 firefighters. That's a first in our city. We've never added that many police officers in one year. And if you remember last year, we added 6 firefighters and about 6 police officers. So our elected body's putting public safety first and foremost, which I'm most thankful for that. Being an old police chief myself, that's huge. And then the next thing is infrastructure. There was about $40 million in the budget for infrastructure. I know these projects take a long time, and I know folks say, oh yeah, we've been talking about this for years. But the fact is that we're still talking about the road projects is a good thing, because every year that we're talking about it means that our team and TDOT and others are working together on the engineering, the design, the right-of-way, the environmental, all the things that go along with it. For example, you see the bridge widening going on now. We've been talking about that for a long time as well. Now you see it coming to fruition, and it's under construction. And it's one of those kind of things. The patience can be tough to wait for those things to be built, but once they get built, you're like, wow, how did we ever live without this? So I'm very excited about that. One of the things we had looked to put in the budget this year was the LED lighting for the Golden Bear interchange, and that will probably be in next year's budget, just simply because there's too many things that took priority over that this year, like sewer pocket plans, things of that nature. But Central Pike interchange is coming along nicely as far as the design and engineering on that. South Mount Juliet Road, and also the widening of Highway 70 between Park Glen and up close to West Elementary, if you're familiar with that area. So very excited about that. Lots of improvements along Golden Bear. If you've been out there, you've seen some new traffic signals have been added. Our elected body also voted to add 3 traffic signals on state roadways, I'll mention. One at South Green Hill and Highway 70. If you've had to traverse that, you know how tough it can be getting in and out of there. Another Curd Road and Mount Juliet Road, which that's a good location. And the other one is a wait and see. It's funded, but we're just waiting to see on traffic volumes and warrant is at Oak Hall and Mount Juliet Road, if you're familiar with that Oak Hall Timber Trail area on Mount Juliet Road. And I know everybody doesn't get giddy about traffic signals, but if you live in those areas and you're trying to get out of a subdivision, it can be quite tough, and it can also make it more dangerous on Mount Juliet Road or the main thoroughfares. So very excited about that. And then keeping infrastructure in mind and capital projects. Of course, the fire department, we hope to get that started this year. It's basically in the bid process, and so we hope to get that awarded here. So actually it's been awarded, and just a matter of getting to the next steps and starting construction. The same with the police department. They're doing about a $6 to $7 million addition there. And just like with Dr. Wright, what that tornado taught us is had that tornado hit the police station, you've got those dispatchers that are in that building 24/7. And it's not that we never thought about it, but you don't really think about things up front until something actually strikes your community like that and is that devastating. So they'll have a hardened dispatch and also a hardened evidence. And what's good about it, it's being built big enough to where if there's a handful of people in our community that don't have a place to go during a tornado, they'll also be able to go to the police department and can seek cover there. So it's tornado proof, basically up to, I forgot what level of tornadoes, but it'll keep us a whole lot safer. And they also needed the extra space. So very excited about that. We'll also be adding a city garage. Right now we have basically one bay for our city garage, and we'll be adding another mechanic. And we've had one mechanic for the history of the city, and that's a little tough when you're thinking of all the police cruisers and fire apparatus and public works and parks and you name it, all these vehicles and pieces of equipment. So that'll be on Clemens Road. So we're excited about that. And something else I'm really excited, I don't know if I've mentioned this before, I think I have, but we also have monies in there to start the process of building a new city hall. We had planned on that, and thankfully the mayor's the one that suggested this idea, and I'm appreciative of that because I've been wanting a new city hall for 31 plus years. But we kept putting priorities ahead of it, which was the right thing to do. So we set aside about $10 million this year. And as luck would have it, some COVID relief money came down to the tune of about $9.9 million. So the only thing we're trying to determine right now, those grant monies, and Ray's been helping us with this, Ray Render, who you see on your picture this morning, is whether or not we have to build a freestanding city hall or whether or not we can add to the city hall we've got. And the reason they do that is because COVID taught us one thing, is that we need to space ourselves. And right now, our current city hall, as we speak today, we are literally taking people's offices and cutting them in half so that we can fit room to add new staff as they come on, because we just don't have any more room. And, you know, you can only cut offices down so much and, you know, take lobbies and cut them down and things of that nature. And it's a blessing in one hand because our city's growing and we're prosperous. But on the other hand, just like Dr. Wright will tell you, you have to have a place for these kids and these students and these educators to be. So as they come into our community, and truth is that people love coming to Wilson County. It's a great place. And I don't think we've seen anything yet. And I think Dr. Wright and others will tell you the same thing. It's a beautiful place to be, and the secret's out, and we can't necessarily tell people they can't come here. So we're going to do everything we can to get prepared. And right now we are prepared. What we've got is serviceable, but we need more space. So we'll have a new police station, basically, if you look at it for the addition, another new fire hall, and a city hall, hopefully starting within the next year and a half. So pretty darn excited about that. And that doesn't even count the city garage. So our council and our citizens have been really good to us. If you remember, we also added a ladder truck bay last year that the council stepped up and gave us during the middle of the year, which is very nice. And the reason for that is that the windstorm / tornado struck the facility that our ladder truck was in, which was behind the church down on Lebanon Road. So, you know, with them building that, we've got a place to keep the ladder truck now. So I'll pause for a minute in case I brought up anything that anybody has a question about, and then I'll go on to some business issues. Okay, I don't see any questions. Mark, I'm going to start on Lebanon Road like I did the last time, just in case some folks have forgotten since we did the ECD update at your offices. The O'Reilly Auto Parts is under construction, which is beside the Tractor Supply on Lebanon Road. That's a great addition because it got rid of that old abandoned car wash. There's a Class A office building that Mr. Steve Griffith's going to be adding. That's close to Christian Brothers, actually right beside Christian Brothers on Highway 70 across from Green Hill High School. If you're familiar with where that is, that'll be a great addition and it'll be a beautiful addition. As you come up Lebanon Road a little bit further, of course, everybody knows on Knoll Road, you've got the Old Dog Sanctuary. If you didn't get a chance to go to ribbon cutting, I encourage you to go by there and visit that facility. It's absolutely beautiful. And what they're doing there is phenomenal, especially for what I call our senior canines. It's just a beautiful facility. It's a great addition. Just up from that to the south is a new set of apartments, which is going to be a great addition to that area as well, because it's going to encourage walkability. And Miss Robinson will tell you that Robinson, company there basically built that real nice strip center where you've got the new donut shop that's there. You've got the Dollar General that's there. I think you have a barber shop that's there. That area is really starting to come along. And of course, the development at Wintory Golf Course will hopefully start up in the future as well. And that'll be another great addition. So really excited about what I'm seeing on Knoll Road in that area. If you come down the hill and you're at 70 where the old Mosses used to be, which was the current location for the Old Dog Sanctuary, they've got that location for sale, and we've got a lot of people that are looking at that, and that will be converted in some way, probably is what I think, because that building is really cool. It's got sort of an old industrial flair to it. So my hope is that somebody buys that and breaks it into individual retail spaces, or makes a really cool restaurant out of it in some shape, form, or fashion. But that's a really cool building. As you come up a little bit further east on Lebanon Road at Mount Juliet Road, the Whataburger I believe, has submitted for tech review. They may be meeting right now, as a matter of fact, over in the big room here at City Hall to start the Whataburger here real soon in Mount Juliet. Just as soon as they make it through the Planning Commission and get approved, I think that you'll see them starting pretty quick. That'll be at the old Capital City Market location. If you're familiar with that old gas station, and I don't think there's anybody here this morning that won't be happy to see that old station go down. I walk by it just about every day, and I can tell you it's a train wreck, and there's a little bit of everything taking it over. So everything there, including the house and the blue building behind it to the east, will go away, and that whole site will be totally redeveloped. So it'll clean up that entire corner and hopefully encourage more economic development to go east on Lebanon Road. So you're going to really like that. That's going to be cool. And there'll also be a connector road that connects it with a traffic light down by F&M Bank. So all that'll be able to sort of interconnect, and the ingress egress will be a whole lot better. Just to the south of that, in between it and Slim Chickens, will be a brand new what's called Camel Car Wash. And if you get a chance, Google them. It's a lot like the Wash and Row. It's just a different brand with a little bit different design, of course. But it'd be a very nice convenience to have on the corner there. And I think it'll clean up that whole side of the street instead of having that lot that tends to get overgrown and sits down in that hole a little bit. A lot of that'll be built up and transitioned in with Slim Chickens. And I think that'll help with the flow on all those businesses through there. And I apologize if my voice is coming and going. I had a sinus infection last week and had lost my voice, so it's just now coming back. So I'm excited about that for a lot of reasons, just simply because it cleans it up and it helps that north end of town, which I'm excited about. If you go a little bit further south and come up the road, there's a lot on the right, which used to be Pizza Hut, or a location on the right used to be Pizza Hut. That will now be the Candied Rib. They're real close to opening. It wasn't a city issue, but they ran into some issues with some contractors and vendors and things of that nature. We're going to try to get them open, even though some of their equipment isn't quite working yet. And they're working on that with fire suppression, because it's a hood oven type situation, and that's on their end. But we're going to let them get open, and they just won't utilize that particular piece of equipment. That should start real soon. In that same facility, the Dragonfly has been purchased by a new owner. It's under new management now. And that same owner also owns the Hammer and Stain. I don't know if you guys are familiar with Hammer and Stain, but it had just opened the week of the tornado and the pandemic. And so they've had a rough go of it. And then they got flooded a few months back, if you remember. I believe that was also March. And so they decided just to pick up from where they're at, buy the Dragonfly business, condense those two businesses. So on one side you have Dragonfly, On the other side, you have the Hammer and Stain. So if you get a chance to go by there and patronize them, please do so, because it's a beautiful business. What they do there's really cool. And it's one of those kind of things you don't really realize what they do unless you check them out. And the business owners is a husband and wife team, like most of our businesses in Wilson County. They're mom and pop businesses, and they invest a lot of money hoping that people like yourselves and people out in our communities will come patronize their businesses. And Mark, you know that better than anybody, being with the chamber, is you're trying to promote people's businesses. And of course, everybody that's on here knows that because of what you do with the Chamber of Commerce. So please, if you get a chance to patronize them. I'm going to continue southbound on Mount Juliet Road, and I'm going to come up to the Christmas store. The Christmas store had a soft opening. If you go in there and you go, wow, it's not quite what I thought it was, just hang on, because they're still in the soft opening phase. They still got a lot of work to do inside. And but if you hadn't had a chance to go in there, I encourage you to go by there and visit it. It's an absolutely beautiful place. Right beside it, Mr. Judd Sellers should be submitting. I think he's already submitted for the Dunkin' Donuts and also the Jeremiah's and his retail center that'll go there. They'll also be doing a major modification to the oldest commercial buildings that still be standing in Mount Juliet, the 2-story red brick building right there at the train tracks. It's going to be remodeled and have some brick and stone and things of that nature, be repainted, something more in keeping with downtown. And the barber shop will stay, but the candle shop beside it will actually be moving northbound and be moving down. Mark, I know you're very familiar with this location where the Big Star cigar shop is. She's going to be moving the candle shop into the location where the Big Star cigar, that same retail center. The cigar shop will not be moving. She'll be down a couple of locations from there. She couldn't be happier. She hates to move, but she's making way to help Judd with the Charlie Daniels Museum that'll be going in her old location. And so this worked out perfect because she loves her new shop. The location was a perfect build out for her, so she didn't have to do a lot of modifications inside. It's just a matter of her getting in there. So look for her to be moving soon. And if you could, continue to support her, because they've all been through this tough time with the pandemic and tornadoes and things of that nature. And people are starting to get in it. If you've ever invested your life savings into a dream, all you can do is, as Mark says, it's nothing like going into that building, turning the light on and flipping that sign around that says open for business, and then nobody's showing up. So those little businesses are precious, and they're trying to listen to you for what it is that they need to do to make their business even more special. So if you could patronize them, that'd be great. Over on the, I guess that'd be the southeast corner of Mount Juliet Road, right in front of the chamber office. There's a couple of different folks looking at that property. One of them is a gas type convenience market. To be quite honest with you, I don't see the one that submitted getting approved simply because it's not quite what we're looking downtown. We're trying to work with them to encourage them that in order to get that rezone, it's going to have to be something different. But standing basically in the shadows is another business owner that's willing to do sort of that vision that the city's looking for, which would be something more in keeping with the Chamber of Commerce, the clock tower, and the whole downtown feel. So it may take a little while yet, but that corner is being preserved for a reason, is because we don't want to do anything that undoes what we've been working so hard on. I mean, the chamber offices are beautiful, Vintage Station's beautiful, the Christmas store is beautiful, but I will tell you this, across the street now, whether or not it happens or not, on the corner, which would be the, I guess, northwest corner of Mount Juliet Road, right there where the Oakland Place, the old gas station and things of that nature is, there is a local business person. It may be tough to pull this off. I hope that they can, but they're looking at maybe buying that entire corner and redeveloping it. And that's not something the city has any control over. That will be up to 2 different business individuals, or actually multiple business individuals, to decide if they want to sell or not. If not, that won't happen. It's a little bit tougher, but if it does, that whole corner could be revitalized in some shape, form, or fashion. If we were to do a city hall could be a lot of places. It could be at Everett Downs, which Miss Phyllis is here, the Robinsons, if you're familiar with that, up where Witt's Barbecue is, that beautiful piece of property that sits just north of Witt's as you round the corner and across from Mount Juliet Church of Christ. If you've seen that property, you could envision a city hall there. City hall for us would be about a 3-story, 30 to 31,000 square foot building. Mr. Robinson has designed something. We love it. We think it's great. There's been another city hall that's been designed on the lot right beside City Hall. The reason that we're considering that is a very viable location, but also if we end up having to do an extension or of our current building, and that might be the only place that we could go. So Ray's helping us with that. We'll figure that out eventually. Another place would be in front of the PD on Charlie Downs Parkway. So there's 2 or 3 good locations there that we're looking at, and the final destination remains to be seen, but I want to bring those into your mind so that you could sort of envision what they would look like there. I mean, one time years ago where Mark was actually proposed for where Mark's offices was proposed to be the city hall. And I'm glad that didn't work out, because I think that's a perfect place for the chamber. So we're excited about the city hall, but we're just not quite sure where it's going to be yet. And as you move further up Mount Juliet Road, some of the businesses, unfortunately, like Bargain Hunt and all, because of the floods, have not yet opened yet. I'm still waiting for confirmation if the Bargain Hunt's going to come back or not. If it doesn't, I've got people standing in line waiting for that spot, so I don't have any concerns whatsoever about filling it up. Some of those tenants that were in Valley Center have long since opened, and they're doing well. One of those is my barber, and I'm excited for them, and I know how tough it was for them to get through this. Some of the others have relocated to other places, and then there's a few, like the vitamin shop, that closed, and it won't come back, unfortunately. I think that was just one too many hits with all the different things that happened over the years, and I think he just decided to go a different direction. But that 5,000 square feet they're in will soon see another tenant. So it just shows you, when one business goes out, as bad as we hate that, a new business is standing waiting to come, because we literally, just like homes in Mount Juliet, do not have enough homes. We do not have enough business spots. You would think so, as people drive around and they see empty spaces. They're like, oh, that's empty. We don't need any more businesses. We don't need any more buildings, and nothing can be farther from the truth. Some of those places are still vacant. For example, Rainbow Place, there's about 5,500 square feet there that I know we've probably had close to 100 people that have offered to move in there, but that particular business owner has a particular business in mind, and until that comes, and to her credit, she's not going to just take anything, and that's her business. It's her building. She can do what she wants to with it. Would we love to see it filled up? Absolutely. Have there been some businesses that we took there that we think would have been viable? Absolutely. But it's her building, and she's in such a position she does not have to rent it until she puts in there what she wants. One recently was a restaurant, but because the restaurant served alcohol, she did not want that in her business, and there's nothing absolutely wrong with that. But I want to explain to folks why sometimes spaces stay empty. It's not because there's not enough businesses wanting to locate to those locations. It's just simply because the people that own that, for example, if you think of Robinson Crossing, they've got a particular theme they're looking for there, and there's just certain businesses that don't fit the theme that they're looking for. It's not that they're opposed, and we find them other locations. So continuing up North Mount Juliet Road, of course, Mount Juliet Middle School. Mark, if I need to pause for a second, because I'm probably going long-winded here.
Why don't you brought up a restaurant serving beer. Will you share the process of revisiting that with the city commission recently to 5-1?
Absolutely. And I'll try to explain it to where it makes sense. In a lot of ways, it can be confusing because when you think 5-1, sometimes people think that means 50 or something like that. There's a lot of communities around us that don't have any ratio whatsoever, which means you can sell all the food you want or all the alcohol you want, and there's no ratio. And Mount Juliet, the city leaders sort of envisioned something a little bit different. So our current ratio is 5-1, which means you'd sell basically, Mark, correct me if I end up getting this wrong, $5 of food for every dollar of alcohol, which in our case, we don't control alcohol, we only control beer. So, but because your sales are related to that, you basically have to sell a whole lot more food than you do alcohol. Go ahead, Mark.
Point out whether that $1 is wholesale cost or retail.
Wholesale.
There's a big difference there.
There is a big difference, and it can be tough, and that's why you've seen a lot of places. For example, in Mount Juliet, a place like Tootsie's or something like that downtown, some of those venues would not make it here. In other words, not that they wouldn't make it, but they wouldn't be permitted here. And the reason for that is past city leaders basically didn't want to create taverns. They didn't want beer joints and bars and things of that nature. And I understand that and respect that as well, because at the end of the day, whatever our elected body decides is my job to make sure that that's enforced and that we follow those rules. So I'll accept that. But there is a point of excitement in what they're trying to do right now, which I like. And they're trying to create what's called basically an entertainment venue type exclusion, which would mean that if your venue has entertainment at least 2 nights a week, then you could apply for the entertainment venue, which would allow you to do basically, and Mark, correct me on this too if I'm wrong, but I believe it'd be 250 to 1. So it would cut that number in half, which would make it a lot easier for those venues that want to have music. And I've already attracted one business that we've been working with. It'll be going at the county line in 70. It's called Mute City Bar and Grill, and they'll be going in the old bank building at the county line. And I don't know that that necessarily would have happened because they do focus more on entertainment and things of that nature, and less on the food aspect of it. But if you've been out to Opryland or Music Valley Drive and been down around that area, they've got a very successful businesses out there, and they've done quite well in the national market. So we're excited that they're opening up their second location here. So Mark, did I say that right? Is there anything you've been keeping up this pretty good as well?
I think that's spot on. I know it's hard to have your food match your beer. If people go out, have dinner, then they want to go to some sort of a show or entertainment or a live music, they're not, in a lot of cases, prepared to order another full meal, if you will. So that rack of ribs or whatever or a steak dinner turns into chips and queso. And clearly your beer sales are going to far exceed the food. So probably time for that to be revisited. I know it's been well thought out and lots of discussion, and probably no answer that's going to make everybody happy, but I know at least one of the commissioners that was sponsoring that told me that when he got elected, one thing he would assure is that he would look at every issue from 360 degrees and try to and make sure that he was getting as much input as he could, and can't really ask too much more than that. So thanks for the update on that, Kenny.
Yeah. It's a little bit of a heated debate. I agree, because a lot of folks are very passionate about their stance on. Here's the way I look at it, and I don't drink. If you went to theater today, just give everybody an example. A lot of theaters, for example, Franklin, I believe, and also the theaters in Nashville. And I know a lot of folks want to go somewhere where there's not alcohol, but today in Mountain Juliet, you can go to Chuck E. Cheese and get an alcoholic beverage. I believe at least beer. But if you want to go to the theater and have a beer with, their menu items, you couldn't do that. And a lot of theaters are wanting to switch to that. So I think the reason that the discussions come up is that our community's changing, our society's changing to some degree. Beer and alcohol is not necessarily looked at the way that it was looked at many, many years ago. And but I agree, it's a slippery slope too. So you have to be very deliberate and cautious in what you're doing. But I think it'll all get worked out in the end, and I think there'll be a happy medium, hopefully. And if not, then I think they'll continue to tweak that, because we don't want to miss out on some opportunities. I can tell you, for example, like a bowling center or something like that, or a Dave and Buster's has been brought up. And a lot of times, sometimes people sort of snicker and go, "Oh, we'll never get a Dave and Buster's." No, we might not get a Dave and Buster's, but we could actually get something that's similar or even better. And I can tell you that there's a group of people who's bought 10 acres in Mount Juliet, and that's exactly what they do. And the reason it hasn't already happened is simply because of the pandemic and the tornadoes. That's an industry that's hit really hard, so they've got to sort of rebound, just like the movie theater just opened. But would I love it if, I could take my spouse and go to a movie, and if she wanted to have a glass of wine or a beer, absolutely. I think that'd be neat, pretty cool little date night. I feel pretty confident she wouldn't get inebriated and embarrass me in front of everybody. That's supposed to be a joke, by the way. But,
hey, Kenny.
Yeah.
If you're looking for a place like that, and Danny Evans is probably rolling over in his grave, you can go have beer, wine, and mimosas at Cracker Barrel now.
That's
so
true.
Who thought that ever happened?
That's true. So whoever thought that, and man, see there, that's a perfect example. So I think it'll all get worked out, and I think it'll be something we're all excited about. But I'm respectful of everybody's opinion on that. Mark, you'll remember you were very instrumental in bringing liquor by the drink to the city, and there was a lot of pastors and people that were very passionate back then about that not happening. And I think everybody will agree that it's worked out pretty well, and the restaurants we've got have behaved themselves for the most part, and and it's worked out good. And a lot of those people that were opposed are probably patronizing those businesses to this very day. So very excited about that. Mark, do you want me to keep going, or do you want me to stop?
There's a groundbreaking coming up at Hibbett Station. The chamber's going to do 3 ribbon cuttings at one time. Coming up here, I know it's at 1:00 That's in the next couple of weeks. New the medical building out on the Pleasant Grove, more office out there.
That's beautiful. That's going to be a gorgeous building.
Couple of fire stations, the WEMA stations. That's good. I will, while I've got everybody on here, Chamber's off to a great start. Tons of new members, some members that kind of deactivated their engagement during the pandemic have reactivated, and we're excited about that. Our golf tournament is, for all practical purposes, sold out, and it's not even until October the 7th, so that's good. Ray, this might have been more with the state, I guess. I guess it's state, excuse me. They're something that we've long thought, and we know Amazon, as much as we'd like to say everybody shop local, we also are glad they're coming into our community. And we've said all along, small businesses can compete. If you've got something you can sell online, we have a Grow with Google program coming up in the next few weeks. I think it's July the 8th, if I'm not mistaken. How to get your business set up on e-commerce. You can buy just about everything from a piano, a kayak, or an audio tape online and have it delivered. So if you sell something, I'd encourage you to join us and see if there's ways you can speed up that process. You might learn something. I got a great Dale Carnegie program coming up at the end of the month. Next month, July 21st, is our State of the County address with Mayor Hutto. That'll sell out. There'll be a waiting list, so please don't wait till the last minute. If you know you can make it, go ahead. I believe ML Rose is off to a fantastic start, and probably, like most other restaurants, exceeding even their own expectations. Let's see. I was going to ask you, Kenny, about on the residential side, lots of residential homes being planned. You mentioned Hibbett Station, Linwood Estates, the Northtown Gardens, and the district. We circle back around to the district. I know that looks like a pretty exciting project. Have they still hanging in there?
I think so, Mark. They're still hanging in there. Of course, everybody knows Providence Central. That should start here real soon, which everybody's excited about that. We're excited about the road projects that go along with that, of course. And I'm meeting actually today at noon with a developer that's looking at some property on Highway 70. It would be residential. It'd be a combination of single-family homes and townhomes, which seems to be a big desire in our community right now. To be a little closer down toward the county line. I won't divulge the location right now because I don't want to get any neighbors or residents upset, but it's got a lot of excitement to it. Not sure of the timeline, but I'll know a little bit more after that today. And so, yes, Mark, we're getting a lot of interest residentially, and I hope that continues. The building costs on lumber are starting to come down a little bit. And I think that'll help even more so with some of the developers that are in the background looking at taking down some property and building some more homes. Because there just simply isn't enough homes or places for people to live in Mount Juliet. And let me tell you why housing is so important. And I think everybody on here knows it, so I'm sort of preaching to the choir, but we have to have a place for people, for everybody to live, of course. People have to have a place in a home. We want it to be something nice for everybody. Nobody wants a bad home, but we can't find enough people to work in the factories and the jobs and then retail and restaurants and things of that nature. We just can't find enough folks to work. Even with some of the other issues, I think that are impacting employment issues right now because they can't afford to live here, and for $13 to $15 an hour, you're only going to drive so far outside of a county to come into that county to work. And we have to have places for people to live. So the thing that worries me a lot is not having enough homes being built. Thank goodness we've got the developers that we've got here that continue to build and provide homes, but they'll tell you long before they're thinking about building the house, it's already sold. So that's a great problem to have, but it's also a bad problem to have. So we're working on that. And I think one of the messages Mark at the bottom said, any other businesses coming north of Mount Juliet at Rainbow Place, and that is absolutely yes. We're continuing to fill in some of the vacancies at Rainbow Place. I'll have hopefully another announcement on that soon. One of those is Bach to Rock. If you hadn't been by there, that gentleman is the drummer for Tim McGraw and many other people. And he decided because of the pandemic, what happened, that he wanted to open him up a business that's a franchise. And basically any kind of musical instrument you want to learn, you can learn it there. If you hadn't been into space, hopefully that'll be getting built at some point to where they'll have a ribbon cutting with Mark and his team soon. But it's absolutely phenomenal inside. Everything from piano to drums to guitar, to you name it, you'll be able to do it there. And my bucket list is to learn how to play a musical instrument. So I'm going to be going and get me some music lessons. I tried guitar once before, but Dr. Wright will tell you my ADHD and all the other stuff was kicking in. I just couldn't sit still long enough to learn that. I just couldn't do it. I could learn like maybe 3 chords, and then it was I need some instrument that involves less patience. So I'm gonna be trying to learn a musical instrument. So good luck. I told the guy, he said, I guarantee I can teach you how to play drums. I said, we'll see. We'll see if we can do that. But Mark talked about the Class A office building, where the old mattress firm's going. The Mattress King is moving from Paddocks to move into that. I'm actually excited about that because mattress stores are phenomenal for sales tax. Let me say that again. There's one person that works in the building. The average person spends $4,500 in a mattress store, and that place has been doing great for years, and they're just moving to a better location. The other half of that building will be something else, but it brings some life back to that spot. So I'm actually excited about that. And somebody will easily take their old location. So that is a good thing. I'm excited about it. ML Rose, there's a washing road going on Blenda Parkway, and I will announce this to this group. But the official announcement will be this week. I will be going to Brentwood, Tennessee, as they cut the ribbon on their Cadillac stir there. They've done a major modification and upgrade to it. So we'll be going this week, and that's where the official announcement will be that Cadillac is coming to Mount Juliet, Tennessee, on the lot beside Rocky Williams in the Paddocks. That is going to be a phenomenal development, and we were most excited and most thankful to Mr. Nelson Andrews for working with our city and bringing his business to our community. And so if you sort of keep that under your hat until then so that everybody can make that announcement together, I'd sure appreciate it. But y'all know enough about it, and we've talked enough about it coming here that we are so excited. And Mr. Nelson Andrews has already reached out to our community. He's coming to community events. He's already sponsored things in our park systems and for the Little League. And he's also the vice mayor in Brentwood, Tennessee. So that's pretty cool too, is we have something in common there, that he's also a public servant. But once you get a chance to meet this gentleman, you'll see what I mean. But Mark, I could go on and on about a lot of the new businesses coming. For example, we'll have another big announcement real soon of a tenant that is taking 125,000 square feet. Let me say that again, 125,000 square feet in a facility in our community, and it is high-tech manufacturing, which means those jobs pay a whole lot more. And I won't say right now who it is, but when you find out eventually, you'll realize what a great addition it is to our community. And Dr. Wright will have to, of course, she's already up to her game, but because what they're doing in our high school system, the kind of jobs that need to be filled start at the high school level. These kids have to learn this stuff early because it's very technical natured. And I'll leave it at that, Mark, but I will say that is a great addition. And we've had one addition after another, but I think when you eventually figure out who it is and what they do here and how many people it benefits, you'll realize what a blessing it is to our community. So I'm just thankful for every one of you for what you do, because I'm a public servant, so I work for you all. And a lot of times when you see the debates happening at City Hall, just like if you see them at the school board or at the county commission level, yes, a lot of times there is a lot of spirited debates. And the reason is because people care and what we do matters, and we have to get it right. So I'm thankful to all of you. You know, I see Tracy on there, and I think of Tracy with Vanderbilt, and I think of HCA. Who'd ever think that we'd have the caliber of the school system we've got here, the caliber of the medical care that we have here, and the caliber of all the other businesses to where you don't have to even leave your county and get pretty much everything that you need. I would have never thought that years ago. And for anybody that's been here any period of time, I mean, I could always get great lawn service. I mean, Mark Heinze was doing my yard years ago, and it just hadn't been the same since Mark got out of the business. I can just tell you, these, so Mark, tell me, think about that. Is that not true that we've got everything you need here? On top of that, wonderful people. So I'll conclude with that, Mark, and I'm sure I left some stuff out, but that's pretty good for now.
Kenny, I believe you have fulfilled rule number 1 of any kind of public speaking. Always leave your audience wanting more.
That's right, exactly right.
And never miss a good opportunity to just be quiet, right? So no, hey, we always look forward to it. If you would, everybody, please mark your calendars July the 19th, and we'll have Kenny back again for even another update. And again, go ahead and get registered for the State of the County address before it's too late. And with that, thank you very much for joining us today, and we will see you soon.
Thanks, everybody.